It seems like the British banks haven't learned their lesson. They've been in hot water before for mis-selling payment protection insurance and mis-selling package bank accounts and various other things, excessive bank charges, things like that. But the thing I want to talk about is a new thing that's come out in the last couple of years. Is contactless payments, and the way they've implemented them is totally stupid. It's 2016 and there's no excuse for it as far as I'm concerned, and I can only assume it's been done deliberately to try and catch people out, resulting in the banks being able to charge more for overdraft fees and things like that. The situation is here in the UK and probably other parts of the world as well, we've adopted contactless payments as an alternative to chip and pin for small payments, typically up to the value of about £30. So you don't have to insert your card into the machine and type in a PIN number, or even older than that, swipe the card and sign the receipt. And it is quite convenient, so it's ideal at places like bars and things like that, where you just want to quickly pay for your drink or your food or something like that without having to keep people waiting. And I like it, it's good. But the problem I have is the way it's being implemented. Now, everyone uses online banking these days, often on their phone. I've got the banking app on my phone as well. I use it quite regularly. It's handy for checking my balance. And if I make a card payment using chip and pin, it comes off the available balance on your bank account straight away. And then a couple of days later, it might come off the actual balance. But you've always got that available balance that shows you what money is available to be used before you go overdrawn. So it's quite handy, and it always updates instantly. If you use a cash point or ATM, that comes out straight away. So it's great. Even transferring from bank to bank between different banks is straight away now, instant through online banking. There's no waiting 2 or 3 days for it to appear or anything like that. But contactless payment, this new technology that's been implemented using RFID bank cards, is not the same. It has a delay, and it doesn't even come off the available balance at all. So you go into your banking app, you look at your balance, you say, oh, I've got £100 there, yeah, fine. So you go and use your contactless card a couple of times. You check it again, it still says £100 available. That's £100 available to take out of the cash point or spend more on your card. Then 3 days later, you open your banking app and you find, oh, nasty shock, I'm £30 overdrawn, £40 overdrawn, whatever. This hasn't happened to me, but I can see it happening to a lot of people if they rely on their bank balance to keep track of their money. Which, to be honest with you, why wouldn't you? We've been so used to up until recently having things update straight away. You shouldn't have to keep track of your money manually. So people, and I've been looking around on the internet and I've seen plenty of cases of it, people asking in forums and things like that about why they've ended up going overdrawn. And it's because of these contactless payments that they've used and assumed that they've come out of their balance already, and they haven't. And the banks are a little bit quiet about it. So I sent the banker a message actually through the Facebook Messenger app, and I said, I have a question. Please can you tell me why contactless payments take so long to come off the available balance rather than chip and pin payments that come out straight away? So why is that? And I had a bit of a short answer saying contactless payments are offline transactions. They would leave your available balance when the retailer processes it. So they're offline transactions, but they're using the same terminal, the same chip and pin machine, or the same machine that they use for chip and pin. It's the same, it's connected. It has to be connected for chip and pin, unless special circumstances like airlines and train companies and things like that use an offline machine. But the contactless doesn't get sent through straight away. Now, I happen to work for a local organisation, and one of the things I look after is the EPOS terminals, or the EPOS systems. And our terminals require to be connected to work any card payments, whether it be contactless or chip and pin. So this whole thing about retailer processing it, I don't think that is entirely accurate. So my response was that well, that seems a bit of a strange way of doing things when the terminal would have a connection for normal chip and pin payments. You can understand it in situations where a connection isn't available. However, it's 2016. How often are you not able to get over connection to the internet, via either Wi-Fi or 3G, 4G? it's barely anywhere now that you can't get a connection. And there are terminals that have 3G, 4G modems built in for that purpose. You see them using on like places that do live events and things like that. They use these sort of terminals, and they process the payment straight away. A lot of people are going to end up going overdrawn unintentionally. I can see things kicking off. Basically, I think sooner or later something's going to happen. The government will end up getting involved. BBC Watchdog will probably do something about it. There'll be people, the men in suits with the shiny shoes turning up on the TV saying, "Oh yeah, but that's how it is." But we all know they're talking a load of bollocks. But hey ho. So their response to me saying that was, contactless debit card payments are processed differently to standard debit card payments. They are all processed as offline transactions, which means that a retailer terminal accepts the transactions without connecting to the bank's system for checks. This means, as you've noticed, that the transactions don't pend or come off of your available balance straight away, but the bank will honour the payment when it is processed. So if you haven't got the money in it, the retailer still gets the payment. So it doesn't check to see if you've got that money in your account first before the payment's processed. Now, that's fine. If you know you haven't got the money in your account and you put a payment through anyway, you deserve to get charged. Don't be stupid. But if you think you've got the money in your account because it hasn't been deducted from previous payments, then that's not entirely your fault. I suppose it could be argued that you should keep track of your money, but if you're used to keeping track of your money through a banking app or online banking services, which we've got used to them being pretty much instant these days, and suddenly you're introducing a system that takes 3 to 4 days for it to process, then that's not really the customer's fault at that point, I don't believe. So yeah, basically they're saying this is the same as things like pay at pump and all that lot. But yeah, again, there's no excuse for it. Okay, so for speed reasons, if they want it to be fast, what they could do is just take the payment and process it anyway. But they don't need to wait for it to contact the bank to authorise a payment. That's fine. Why didn't they have it so that the payment is uploaded to the bank in the background regardless of whether the terminal is in use or not? So that even though you've just made your payment, it would send the data off to the bank after the fact when the terminal's either not being used or it could do it in the background while it's being used for the next customer. So you still get the benefit of the speed. You don't have to wait for it to connect to the bank's systems and authorise and check and everything else. But it still sends the data relatively quickly. It could be within a matter of seconds or minutes, and your balance would be updated. Why haven't they done that? I mean, it just seems obvious to me. If I was implementing a system like this, if I was designing it, that's how I would do it. Why didn't they do it? So yeah, bit of a rant. The banks, did they never learn? No? Really? Okay, fine, whatever. This is going to kick off at some point, and they will fix it, because they'll be forced to. But if you didn't know about this at the moment, it's one thing to be aware of. I'm going to stop using contactless because it's just, I don't want to have to keep track of my money manually. I'm usually pretty good at remembering how much money I've got to spend anyway, but it's just a pain in the ass. Shouldn't be necessary. So I'm going to stop using contactless. The same thing applies to Apple Pay as well. If you use that, or Google Pay, I assume it's going to be the same. I don't know. But, they use the same contactless method. At least if you use your phone, you do get a log of how much you've paid out on it. Although it still doesn't come out of your bank balance, you just have in the wallet app on your phone or whatever the Google equivalent is. It does show up. But yeah, so just a little rant. See you later.